the Empire! For the Warhammer!
Hey guys, today I want to take a minute to talk about a topic very near and dear to my heart, siege battles. And more specifically, why they suck so much in vanilla Warhammer, and what we can do to improve the overall experience. I know this isn't universal, but I know from talking to many of you that you feel the same way I do, that siege battles should be epic. They should be awesome. They should be one of the best parts of a Total War game. And sadly, they are not, at least in vanilla. And there's a bunch of reasons for that. Garrison forces are inadequate to defend the walls. The speed and ease of using ladders trivializes climbing the walls anyway. The tower building game is mostly unfun. The pathfinding in sieges is the worst of anywhere in the game. The list goes on and on. But what if I told you you could go from this? An example of vanilla where Festus walks right up to one of the major cities of the Empire and without taking the time to lay siege, without building any weapons, without attriting the defenders, without so much as using an agent action to cause a single breach in the walls, simply launches a frontal assault and overwhelms the pitiful defense with nothing more than his starting army, capturing what should be a really significant objective with barely any losses in the process, ready to launch another offensive the very next turn. Multiply this a number of times over the course of a campaign, and you can see why vanilla Warhammer turns into a steamrolling, not very strategically deep or interesting campaign time after time, with few exceptions. No wonder so many players auto-resolve siege battles instead of fighting them manually, which is a shame, because, to go back to my point, what if you could go from that to this? Here are examples of humongous siege battles, pitting lots of defenders and even more attackers in a 30-minute or so drawn-out affair filled with bouncing from one hotspot to another, with enough units to defend the walls and enough difficulty getting past the walls to make defending them worthwhile, with more layers of defense once the attackers do get through. One of these examples is Altdorf itself being attacked by successive waves of Norskins, where the first glorious defensive victory was so costly in terms of casualties that I thought for sure we were going to lose against the second assault in the same turn. But Karl Franz sacrificed himself outside the walls to buy time for the defenders to pick off just enough attackers to result in a classic Pyrrhic victory, and one of the most memorable sessions I've ever had playing this game. Which, for me, is what this game is all about, creating those moments to savor. And the changes have an effect beyond just the battles, as you will see your strategy and the AIs adapt to account for more difficult siege battles. Here is Thorek's army launching an offensive against Skarbrand, only to realize the combination of that super strong enemy garrison, plus the attrition the dwarfs would take from corruption before getting there, would make this objective take so long Thorek would be too vulnerable to counterattack for the whole endeavor to be feasible. That's not the kind of thing that happens very often in vanilla Warhammer, but it is the kind of thing that happens a lot in real warfare. And even if this is fantasy, it's nice to get a full appreciation for more complicated strategy than endless attacking, because that's the meta. I'll pause here long enough to admit that not everyone will see the appeal in this. If you're looking to speed the game up, then this is going to accomplish the opposite. But if you like that dopamine hit from winning really hard-fought battles, whether miraculously surviving an unexpectedly massive attack like these, or capturing an enemy stronghold at the completion of a costly offensive, well then you need to do a little modding. This is a big enough topic that I had to break it down into a couple of separate videos. This one is going to focus on the first and easiest step you can take, which is to add a Garrison mod. In the next video, I will be going into other mods to alter the battles themselves. So why exactly do you need a Garrison mod? I can think of 3 reasons. Those are theme, realism, and function. And I promise not to spend more than a few sentences on each. Warhammer lore is incredibly rich and thematic. Here's what the lore says about Iron Rock, for example. Iron Rock is an orc stronghold in the northern Badlands. It is a mountain formed of molten iron vomited from the bowels of the earth during some ancient upheaval. Deep below Iron Rock lie its vast magma chambers formed by great earthquakes in ages past. And here's another one. Gorbad was a hulking orc who rose to fame as the leader of the Ironclaw tribe. It was he who first built the Iron Rock, the most redoubtable orc fortress in the old world. Okay, so we have Iron Rock described as an orc stronghold and as the most redoubtable orc fortress in the old world. And here's what Iron Rock looks like in vanilla. It's little more than a speed bump on the way to Black Crag. Doesn't exactly live up to the lore, does it? So what about realism? Well, fortresses, towers, castles, citadels, these are strong points that people spend lots of time and resources building up specifically for the purpose of making them hard to capture. With few exceptions, people did not spend all these resources to build the things, only to garrison them with insufficient numbers of weak troops. That brings us to function. Strong points are really important in warfare and in strategy games, and since this game doesn't allow you, for the most part, to create them on the fly, the settlements are all we've got to accomplish this vital aspect of strategy. And that's fine, as the lore for Iron Rock makes clear. So capturing major objectives like walled cities should be difficult, either in terms of time, resources, or casualties. When a game lets you walk up to and capture Middenheim like Festus did, it cost none of those things. The victory wasn't challenging, which makes it a missed opportunity to provide the player that sense of accomplishment. Better to require a few turns to lick your wounds and replenish your army before launching your next attack than the boring repetitiveness of walking from one objective to the next turn after turn without delay. So if I've convinced you to use a Garrison mod, the good news is that's the easy part. And you have options. There are a bunch of them available on the workshop that boost garrisons for all factions, meaning you can use just a single mod. And they come in different flavors. Some increase the garrisons in the main settlement buildings, others in the defense buildings, to make investing in those, or not, more of an interesting risk-reward decision. Others add extra garrison units to military recruitment buildings, and others to infrastructure buildings. Some add more units, some add better units. Note that there's always a limit of 20 in any garrison, and the game doesn't always do the best job of making sure it's the best 20 units. But overall, these mods do a good job. I haven't tested them all out, so take this with a grain of salt, or feel free to mention your own experiences or preferences in the comments below. But I'll mention the ones I've used in my own campaigns. Until recently, I used Zorbaz garrisons and was pretty happy with the results, with my only real criticism being that some garrisons receive spellcaster units with no spells. It's possible this problem still exists, or it's possible the mod author has fixed it. More recently, I've started using Cho's improved garrisons, which does not have the same issue, at least as far as I've been able to tell. I'll link both of these options in the description, but I want to be clear that there are other choices as well. Almost any mod recently updated is going to give you a better experience than vanilla. Okay, hopefully I've convinced some of you as to the value a Garrison mod can add to the game. But of course we're only part of the way there to improving the overall siege battle experience. Like I said, this video is only part 1, and in the next one I will go through some more ways we can improve siege battles. These videos take a little while to do properly, so please be patient with me and I'll get it out as soon as I can. And maybe why not leave a like and subscribe, as that really helps make other people aware that these videos exist. I'm sure I left out a few things and didn't answer every question that may come up, so please leave any questions or thoughts in the comments section. One last note, if you want to see these Garrison mods in action, all the footage in this video is excerpted from the Let's Plays on this channel, and of course I'd love it if you checked any of those out. Anyway, with all that, thanks so much for watching and listening, and I will see you in the next video.